Hello there, everybody. Welcome to another podcast from the Complete Sports Media team. I'm your host, Darren Campbell. We have another exciting hour for you. We can't wait. We're going to break it down today. UFC Las Vegas 4, June 27th in Las Vegas. 4 cards in a row there. And we're going to be able to talk about the fight of the year. It was Dustin the Diamond Poirier against Dan the Hangman Hooker. Poirier from Lafayette, Louisiana, and Dan Hooker from New Zealand. And wow, was it ever impressive? Was it amazing? Just phenomenal fight. They just absolutely put their whole will on the line, and it turned into one of the best fights I've ever seen. So can't wait to break it down. We've got Jason Cameron joining us today, and going to be able to introduce him right away. There he is. Hey, Jason, how are you?
Very good. How are you doing there, sir?
Oh, man, I can't be better. What a beautiful day it is. And, I got coming off a great weekend. I can't complain. Life couldn't be better.
Yeah, I know, man. It's and it looks like this week's going to be a beautiful week. So I'm very much looking forward to it, spending some time outside.
Are you on the river there?
I'm actually, yes.
Nice.
As you can see in the background there, I'm right beside the Fraser River. It's beautiful out here. I usually come out here to this park. It's in my neighborhood. It's just nice, real nice. And then a lot of people are actually having picnics. It's kind of nice to see people having picnics now.
I do like that. Yeah. It's finally, we're starting to get a new normal. People are getting back together. Yeah.
Nice to see. It's great.
Yeah. So, thanks so much. This is going to be great. I'm wearing a UFC shirt because I want to break down this past weekend's card. That fight was one of my favorite fights I've ever seen. Definitely fight of the year, and it's going to go down in history as one of the best ever. Wow. Tell me about it.
Well, you know what? I was impressed with the whole UFC event from top to bottom. The fights were fantastic. It might possibly be, in my humble opinion, it might have been the best UFC so far since this whole pandemic business. It was great. And then just the icing on the cake was the main event. Incredible. It was an incredible battle, blood and guts. It had everything you'd ever want to see in a main event. You had 2 guys that were upper echelon fighters in the top 5, and they got after it. They went after each other, and because they both were hungry for the win.
Yeah, you're right. Holy cow, were they ever hungry? I haven't seen a battle like that for a really long time. And, Dan Hooker, I didn't really think he was going to win the fight. I thought Poirier had too much experience in some really amazing battles over the years. And I just really felt like Hooker was in a little bit over his head, but he pretty much dominated those first 2 rounds. And he almost actually had Poirier out at the end of that second round.
Yeah, man. Like, it was – Hooker is exceptionally tough. He is exceptionally tough, and he's very, very skilled. But the one thing with the Diamond is you can't count that man out. He's coming after you. Like, even with any adversity that guy ever faces. Because let's remember, in the first round, he took a ton of calf kicks to the leg.
Yeah.
Like, he was taking away his base. And I thought, man, I don't know how you check calf kicks, but maybe somebody should develop a way to do that, because that's damaging. Yeah. But Poirier is extra tough himself. He took that damage and was able to still fight through that, and then come up big in the 3rd and 4th rounds. Amazing.
Oh, it was amazing. Yeah. And you say the Diamond, and I think that's called the hardest surface on earth, the hardest material on earth. And now I actually know why he's called the Diamond. Holy cow. Like, that was amazing. What a comeback. What a performance. Just, the heart of a champion. Wow. I was so impressed with his will to win.
Well, and also too, like, just throughout the entire fight, a lot about fighting is momentum. the give and take. And so once one guy thought, you know what, this guy's hitting me a little too much, I better crack him back. And it was that back and forth, but it was constant. It was all the time. And what they were hitting each other with, it's just nothing less than the kitchen sink. They were hitting each other with some of the hardest blows you could ever imagine. Lesser men would have been knocked out quickly and soon, but not those two guys. No, not those two guys whatsoever. It was an amazing fight to watch. Amazing.
Yeah, I loved it. I just couldn't believe it. I was jumping out of my seat. I was just like, holy cow, they're just bringing it. And they had to get right into the pocket and just fire and just keep, taking shots to give shots. And none of them were, they just didn't have any backward steps. They were just full on, both of them. And, I'm so impressed with Hooker. I thought he was an amazing up and comer and, had a lot of really good fights. But, my level of respect for him has even grown after this fight, even though it was a loss. Wow, did he showed himself really well.
I know it's probably devastating for him to have lost that fight, but he should be proud of his performance because that was one heck of a performance. Because at the end of the day, it came down to that fifth round. Whoever wins that fifth round wins the fight. And it was just the accumulation of damage that Dustin Poirier wore it better. And I think that was the difference.
Yeah.
Period. That was the difference.
Yeah. No, it was so great. I've been buzzing about it. I can't wait to talk to so many people about it. And I hope if you haven't seen it, viewers, please dial it in. It's one of the best fights ever put together and through the UFC. And we loved it. I couldn't have asked for more. Got my money's worth there and more. And yeah, I can't wait for seeing those guys again. And Poirier's really garnering for another shot. Obviously, he lost to Khabib, but we'll see what shakes down with Khabib in the next little while, and maybe Poirier has another shot at the title if Khabib still has it or somebody else. So
yeah, no, it's I'm very interested to see where things go from here for sure. But I am like yourself. If you haven't seen that fight, you've got to see that. And so it's one of those fights where after you see it, it's like, man, I'm gonna sign up. I'm gonna go to the gym. I'm gonna do some MMA now. That's what that did to me. I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna do it.
You're right. Yeah. I bet you a lot of gyms suddenly started getting calls yesterday and today. I want to do this. This is too fun.
Yeah, man, for sure.
Yeah.
'Cause I know after that it's kind of like for me like seeing a good kung fu flick. When I see a good kung fu flick, and then you get that adrenaline dump, and you go, yeah, it was great. It was great. It was just such a good fight. It was such a good fight. Yeah. Like, because I just appreciate seeing two guys just leave it all out there. They leave it all on the line and let it all hang out. They just left a part of themselves in the ring. Like, that fight actually, to a certain extent, without so much blood and gore as the Robbie Lawler-Rory McDonald fight.
Sure.
That's what that fight kind of reminded me of that.
Nice. Yeah, I'm glad you brought that up. Yeah, I remember that fight. That was impressive. I was there, and wow. Robbie just had an extra gear. I actually saw an interview with Rory the other day, and he talked about that. I guess he went down to Coconut Creek, Florida, and was meeting some of the guys in that team, and all of a sudden Robbie walked in, unbeknownst to him, and they had a chat, and they didn't talk about the fight, but he remarked that Lawler just looked at him after one of the rounds and just went, yeah, I love this. And he goes, uh-oh, I think he's got more than me. Because he said I was in trouble, and he just was like, I love this. And, that was an amazing, amazing battle. So,
yeah, that was an amazing battle. Very, very good. And then also, too, it's a scary thing that if you can go through, like, a war of that magnitude and just be like Poirier in his corner and say, oh, yeah, I'm loving this, coach. This is great. Because, like, if you hear that, then you're like, what do you mean you love this? Don't you hurt everywhere? Is not your whole body screaming for you? It's like, oh, man, how much more time do I got? Do I got 5 more minutes still? Please. But you know what? cut from a different cloth than everybody else.
Yeah.
They really are. The
Yeah.
warriors to their core, and this is what they love to do. And it's just great to see people do what they love to do.
Yeah, exactly. And that's why they're at the top of their sport, and, you know, just being able to, you know, impress everybody and, you know, be the pros they are. You know, he said, I'm having a blast. I'm having an absolute blast. And I know that 99.9% of the people wouldn't be having a blast being in that big of a war in fist fight in a cage like that. It was so fun. It was just, you know, it was great that he was having a blast because he was giving me a blast too.
Yes, exactly. How about this? Both those men gave the viewers exactly what they needed, what they wanted. And even if they didn't know what they want, they got it.
Yeah.
They got it. It was awesome. It was awesome.
Sure was, yeah. Well, it's hard to break down a lot of other fights on the card, but we should. Yep. You know, that one it topped the cake. But co-main event had Mike Platinum Perry against Mickey Gall, and Platinum really showed his strengths and, you know, was able to really dominate, I thought, and pretty much the whole entire fight. Minus a corner, he had his girlfriend with him, which was kind of bizarre and weird, and he is a little strange, but yeah, pretty good performance by him.
I was impressed because, well, first off, the man didn't have a corner. I've never seen that before. He didn't that like I know he's a different dude, but he's that different now? Like, no more corners for you? All right, man. But hey, I guess he didn't need it. He was good, and he literally dominated every aspect of that fight. And when I thought Mickey Gall probably had an advantage on the ground, he didn't.
No.
Like I would say that it was Perry's extreme strength that really won him the day. And then also, too, he was a better stand-up fighter, obviously. But Mickey Gall's stand-up has improved by leaps and bounds.
Yeah. Sure.
Very much so.
Yeah.
Like, his counters were crisp, effective, and accurate. And they had some steam on them, but just not enough for that guy, unfortunately.
No. Wow, I couldn't believe the shape Perry was in. And, yeah, just the strength. Wow. Like, he just really manhandled the guy. And Mickey Gall actually, you know, looks like a bigger person. You know, if he was more ripped and more cut and, you know, had the muscle tone that Perry had on him, he'd be a much bigger person. But Perry just dominated strength-wise, and, you know, to actually dominate on the ground too. When the fight went to the ground, it blew me away. I thought Gall would have the advantage big time on the ground, but Perry showed he's just a super well-rounded fighter. He just likes standing and banging. So
yeah, like we forget that actually Perry has the technical skill set.
Yeah,
like he does. He really does. And once he does incorporate it, then we're reminded, oh no, he can be technical when he wants. He just prefers to brawl most of the time, right? Yeah. But this time, though, he was very measured in his approach, I thought. And it was just a very good fight. And then when I think he stuffed every takedown that Mickey tried, because at the end of the day, when I look back at that fight, like, even his takedown attempts, they just didn't have enough mustard on him to take that guy down. Not even close.
No.
Not even close. So,
yeah,
very good win by Perry. Great win by Perry.
I think a lot of teams will be hesitant to bring Perry into the mix because nobody likes to train a guy and not, you know, get paid by going and, you know, being in his corner. So he might have a hard time getting a team to take him on. You know, that was a really unorthodox move on his part. He was, you know, making some complaints after the fight that the IRS is taxing him too much, and, you know, he's a pretty strange guy who just flies off the handle and says a lot of weird things. And like you say, I've never seen a guy ever not have a corner man in there. And his girlfriend was just icing his back of his neck and his head, and you know, he had a cut man, and that was it. Wow, it was a pretty ballsy move to not have a corner and not being able to try to, you know, have guys, you know, seeing what you're not seeing. And, you know, he just, like you said, he was measured. He, you know, he kept cutting off the cage and, you know, hitting a Gall when he could, stuffing the takedowns. And I was blown away by his performance, just blown away.
Yeah, no, his performance was spectacular. Like, it was like an A+, you know, and especially, as you said, especially with the fact that he didn't have a corner. Like, he didn't have nobody. He didn't have anybody.
Yeah.
and it was super weird, though, just having his girlfriend there just ice him up. It's like, all right, it's great. You know, it's all maybe to a certain extent, maybe that's actually what that kind of guy needs, which is he just needs a calmness of his mind. He does understand the sport. He's a veteran. He's been fighting for a long time. And I think with Mickey Gall, at least, he understood what he needed to do.
Yeah.
All right. Now, for a higher level fighter, he might need a corner, you know?
Yeah.
But I guess we'll see what he does for his next fight. Maybe he goes without a corner again. I don't know.
Sure be interesting.
It'll be
Yeah.
interesting.
Yeah, we'll see. We'll see.
Yeah.
Yeah, there was a heavyweight fight just before that on the card. Jean Volante moving up from light heavyweight to try the heavyweight division. New York guy, and from a really good camp. I've been impressed with a lot of John Volante's fights. He's a really, really, really talented fighter, and decided he didn't want to cut weight anymore and stay in that heavyweight class. Maurice Green was coming off a couple losses. Super talented dude, but 2 losses, really needed to get a win. And after he threw a Superman punch and it didn't connect, and Volante took him down, had him down, grounded and pounding him. I thought, wow, they almost stopped the fight. And then all of a sudden he's tapping. That was a crazy submission. It was, pretty shocking and pretty quick.
Yeah. I still don't know what that submission was. I tried to figure it out. I tried to see the angle of where the application of the choke was. Sure, I don't understand. I don't understand the choke, but maybe that's my ignorance talking. I thought I knew a lot about the game, but that was just a choke I've never seen before in my life.
Yeah.
Right? So, but great win by Green. Great win by Green. But I will say this about John Volante. Man's been fighting for a long time. Yeah, he didn't want to cut the weight. But I think he could have been in better shape for that fight. You know what I mean? Like,
sure.
If he wanted to fight heavyweight, I think maybe it's going to take him some time to convert his body, but I think the man could do with a little bit more musculature on that frame as opposed to the doughiness, because you could see throughout the fight that he was trying to conserve his energy throughout the entirety of the fight, where Green was clearly the more active fighter throughout the course of the fight. But the thing that I was shocked at, since Green's always been a heavyweight and John Volante's coming up, is Volante's power was insane.
Yeah.
He had real power hitting that guy. And and whenever Green got hit with a leg kick, he felt all of those big time. So
yeah, you're right. Yeah.
So I can understand why, but Green's approach was great. Kept like popping the jab, keeping him at distance. It was a very, very good fight plan for him to go for it, right? And then try to stay away from Volante's power, because clearly he knew that Volante had a lot of power.
Yeah.
He knew that.
Yeah, Volante definitely had a lot of pounds around the middle. Didn't look good. He could definitely shaping up, tone up. I don't know. He just seemed like he just ate and just decided not to do too much cardio and just put on the extra weight. He is a super strong guy, and his leg kicks are brutal. You could really hear the connections with his fists as well. And yeah, he's a tough guy. It's definitely hard to change a weight division and fight a guy that, so much bigger than anybody you've ever fought. I'm glad he did it. We'll see if he, puts in the time and commitment it's necessary to, get himself in better shape. And then, maybe the sky's the limit for him, being able to fight a lot tougher competition. But you're right. I noticed it right away. As soon as he stepped into the cage, he wasn't in as good a shape as he should have been. Green sure was emotional. Did you see his post-fight interview? Did you see how emotional he was after?
Well, yeah, I was watching it, and I understand the emotion that a fighter will have, especially with the fact of what he's doing for his family. He's moving the family and all that sort of stuff, and he needed the money for this move, obviously, clearly, right? He was depending a lot on that. But at the same time, it was like, John Atnick has a very hard job, especially when fighter's emotional and you're trying to get some information out of him and the guy can't talk. So yeah. And I appreciate it. And he did manage to gather himself a little bit to answer some of the later questions. But the beginning there was just, he didn't say much.
Yeah.
Right.
Well,
But
don't you make my job hard today by losing it. Okay. Yeah.
I don't think we're gonna have that problem today. No,
Good, good, yeah.
I think we're good.
But yeah, no, he was. I couldn't believe. I haven't seen a fighter that emotional in a really long time, and it was. He was hard. He definitely had a hard time keeping it together, and
Yes.
he was called out from a competitor earlier in the fight, and he accepted the challenge. They're talking maybe Abu Dhabi, which is very soon. I don't know if they can pull it off, but were you impressed with our Canadian boy that had the big knockouts? The bulldozer Stozer, he calls out Green right after his fight.
Well, first off, I wanted to say that his movement was excellent.
Wow.
Oh man, the man was twinkle toes. He had a little Ali shuffle to him, man. Like he was impressive.
Yeah.
And his body, like the shape that he came in was excellent. Yeah. The man was in shape. He looked great. And the combinations that he was throwing, like if you got two guys like that, if they are able to make that fight happen, because let's be honest here, if Green needs that money, he's going to make the fight. He probably phoned Sean Shelby immediately and said, yeah, make that go. Make that a thing. Let's do that right now. All right. But his movement was excellent. That was the thing that I was most impressed with Boser in that fight, was his movement, the crispness of his strikes, the accuracy of his strikes. He looked fantastic. Really?
Yeah, definitely. I was blown away. Super impressed. I've seen him fight before. He usually goes to decision, grinds out wins. This fight, he said he dropped 10 pounds. He wanted to be quicker. He wanted to be more toned and be able to, beat the guy to the punch. And I couldn't believe how accurate his punches were. Once he hit that shot off the temple and stiffened him up, he just threw punches and every single one of them landed and took him out. It was a really brutal, amazing performance. I was like, wow, holy cow, where's this guy been?
Yeah, I know, man. And I do want to make one comment though. Throughout the broadcast in that particular fight, I think Bisping mentioned him and said, the man looks like a light heavyweight. And I'm like, that's the biggest light heavyweight I've ever seen in my life. I didn't know what he was talking about. I'm like, light heavyweights aren't built like that, right? No. He eventually did take it back because I don't think he realized just how heavy he was. He just wore the weight very, very well. He's 250 pounds. That's not a light heavyweight, man.
No, true. Yeah, it's 45 pounds more than that limit. Yeah, it's going to be difficult for him to make light heavyweight. He was toned, just like you mentioned, Volante didn't come in that shape, but this guy did. And, he could be in for some bigger paydays and getting some, high quality opponents. I loved it that he called him out. He had a personality. That interview with Anik was just night and day compared to Green. So Anik's hoping that Bulldozer wins that fight between them. So he has an easier job.
Yeah, he has an easier job for sure. And going back to John Volante, I'll say if Volante is able to kind of transform his body into something approaching what Boser has as a body, that guy's going to be a real problem. But that will take commitment on his part to do the physical changes that he needs. I don't know if he wants to do that. The man looks like he likes his pizza a lot. So I guess we'll see.
Yeah, we'll see. We'll see. Yeah. So, let's break down a few more of the fights on the card. What did you think about the quick knockout by Takashi Soto over Jason Vanilla the Gorilla Witt? That was a boom, immediate knockout.
Well, they were mentioning that, and I do know that Takashi Soto's a great stand-up fighter, and he's got power. Yeah. And then he demonstrated it in those two punches that ended the fight. So, yeah. It was a fantastic win on his part. Super impressive knockout victory. And it was fast, man. Yeah. That was quick. That was a quick win. And maybe a quick turnaround for Takashi too. Didn't get hurt, got paid. Maybe he tries to jump on something very, very quickly soon. So we'll see what the turnaround is for him. But great win. Solid victory.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, you're right. Henry Hoof looked pretty damn impressed behind him that he's in that camp. And yeah, oh wow, it was just immediate. What he only got notified of the fight on Thursday. The UFC signed him on Thursday. He flew out the next day for his weigh-in, and he was in the cage. So I think it was less than 48 hours he had to fight. And so, you know, wow, you know, the UFC usually gives you some credit for coming in on such short notice. And yeah, hopefully it doesn't take the loss too hard.
Well, yeah, man. Like usually when it's a thing like that, I believe either way the UFC gives you a contract, right? So you know going in that you are at a complete disadvantage in the fight, complete disadvantage. And so what you're working towards is that fight is kind of like whatever happens, happens. But it's the next couple of fights in the contract that you now do have with the UFC. That's what you focus on. And that's what we'll have to focus on. Yeah. Because you know what, when you have, as you said, 48 hours to prepare for an opponent, you don't actually have time. You don't have any time whatsoever. So you just hope for the best, because not everybody can be like our boy there from the last UFC and just go in like a hurricane and just knock the guy out.
Oh yeah, Justin James. Yeah.
Justin James. Exactly.
Yeah, that was yeah, he just jumped in the cage and wanted to tear the guy apart and did. So it was different, but yeah, impressive by Soto. Sato, we're going to see him really soon, I think. Yeah, no damage, and so you know they can roll him out real quick. I'm going to go to the next fight on the card. It was Julian Erosa, 24-8, coming into the fight against Sean Woodson, undefeated fighter, only 7-0, but he was 46-3 in his boxing career. Yeah, he looked really impressive for the first couple rounds. I thought Woodson had the better of Erosa, and Erosa ended up getting submission halfway through the third round. Yeah, pretty impressive fight. I liked it a lot. It was enjoyable.
It was very enjoyable, because you had one guy that knew, for me to win this fight, I'm just gonna have to eat this guy's punches, because the guy's stand up and his boxing especially is more than exceptional. But at the same time, Woodson punches in bunches, but not with a lot of power. Right. And so Erosa knew that he could take the damage. He could take the punishment. I think what Woodson unfortunately fell into, I think he got frustrated. What he should have done was just stick with the game plan, not get frustrated and just do the fight. I think he got frustrated, which left him open for Erosa to take advantage of that frustration. Yeah. Because Erosa knew it's like, I'm a super tough dude. And I believe he came in with not a lot of time either.
No, it was quick. Yeah.
It was a quick turnaround.
Yeah. But they had to make it at catch weight because they couldn't make weight. It was too fast. Yeah. So
it was too fast. But clearly Erosa was in great shape. He was in great shape for that fight. And so it was a fantastic win on his part. A submission win. And I believe that's Erosa coming back into the UFC yet again, right?
Third time, yeah.
So
that's his third opportunity, yeah.
Third opportunity. So hopefully third time's the charm for him, you know?
Yeah.
So we'll see how he does, how he goes forward. But it was a great win for him on his third time through the UFC, and hopefully he can make something of it.
Yeah, sure hope so too. Yeah. I loved a lot of his comments after too, Anik. He said that Woodson reminded me of Diaz, and he didn't have, a ton of pop on his punches. He was just, giving a lot of shots, but they weren't, damaging him to the point of him worrying about being taken out. So he thought, I'm going to get an opportunity. This kid's probably going to make a mistake, and I'll be able to get a submission or something. And that Darce choke was pretty impressive. He was just definitely able to, basically put him up into a pretzel, and there was nothing what to do. So I was like, wow, holy cow. He's learned a lot since he's, been in and out of the UFC 3 times. I think this could be the time for him finally.
Yeah, man. And also too, that's an incredible amount of dedication and will to come back and forth through something for his UFC career.
Yeah. You cut out there for some reason. I don't know why, but hopefully that was just a one-time glitch.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, anyways, I was just saying, like, hopefully he can make something of it for his UFC career this time around. Third time's the charm. So.
Yeah. No kidding. Yeah. Yeah. I love that dedication. Yeah. I mean, it's a tough game, and, it's got to be just a blow to your ego when you get cut. It's just got to be so difficult. You spent your whole life trying to make it here, and then, you have a setback, and, you make it again and have another setback for, 3 times. Wow. Like, that's something that we should hopefully talk about for a long, long time, is a guy just, his will to win. We talked about Poirier having that will to win off the, main event, but, to actually get cut twice and still just keep at it and keep at your game and being able to get that third opportunity and have a big win. Wow. I'm super impressed with that kid.
Yeah, me too. Very impressed. Very impressed with the man's determination, for sure.
Yeah. The other fight that was pretty impressive was Luis Violent Bob Ross Pena against Kama Worthy. Wow. Yeah, very impressive with the Death Star. He just, holy cow, is that guy tough? He's so strong. Unbelievable.
Yeah, man. That he's a physical specimen. That's what I'd say about him, because Luis Pena is a great fighter, but that guy, special athletically. Yeah. Very, 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 very gifted. Very gifted.
Yeah, and I kind of felt sorry for Worthy a little bit, because he was preparing for Michael Johnson, and all of a sudden Michael Johnson was out of the fight last minute. Pena had to step in, and completely different type of fighter. But Worthy just didn't seem to take a step backwards. He just was determined, and wow, it was whoa, what a physical specimen, and holy cow, I think he's going to get some really great competition coming up soon.
Oh yeah, man. Like that guy is. I foresee him at some point in time cracking the top 10. Like that's what I saw in that fight. Like his counterattacks and everything was on point. Like he looked great. Yeah. He looked really good, really, really good, and really, really, really strong.
Yeah,
really strong.
He talked up his team from Pittsburgh. There, Pittsburgh's a tough town. I've spent lots of time there. It's a steel town. It's a blue collar town. I can imagine some amazing fighters there. He really talked up that team, and hopefully some of these guys get a chance. He was saying, I'm getting these guys in the UFC, so that'd be great. He said he's worked out a lot with Cody Garbrandt. I don't know that connection yet. I'm going to find that out this week.
Okay.
But there's interesting story there, I think. So let's see his rise, and I can't wait to see him in the cage again.
Yeah, and also too, now I'm super curious about some of the other guys on his fight team, and hopefully if they can crack the UFC roster and see what these boys got.
Yeah.
Like there might be like a super camp in the making. Yeah. We'll see.
We'll see. Yeah. So earlier in the night, second fight of the night was the debut of Kay Hansen, and she fought Jin Yu Frey. Kay looked really great for the youngest female on the roster, 20 years old, getting her opportunity. Jin Yu Frey was Invicta champion. They were both in Invicta before they made the UFC. And Kay said her hero and the reason why she got into the sport was Ronda Rousey, and she did her proud with an armbar. And got praise from Ronda after the fight. It was great to see that young girl. She looked really composed and did a great job.
Yeah, she wasn't. The moment didn't overcome her. That's for sure. Like she stuck to her game plan. She fought well, and yeah, her armbar turned out to be a classic Rousey armbar. Like something that we haven't seen for actually quite some time. I haven't seen that for a while. So Great submission win by our newest youngster in the women's division for that weight division for sure. Yeah,
it was impressive. Yeah, great. It was a good signing by the UFC. They usually don't sign people until they're 23, 24, 25, even later. And they saw something in her. I heard that she runs a couple gyms in California for 10th Planet Jiu-Jitsu, Eddie Bravo's teams, and she's definitely up and comer. So yeah, I was blown away. 20 years old. She looks a lot older than she actually really is.
Oh, yeah, for sure, man. And especially if you got a man of Eddie Bravo's caliber allowing her to run gyms and she's only 20. Oh, man. Okay. Well, that's going to be, I'm quite looking forward to what else she's got for her future in this career, because Eddie Bravo, he's got a weird style, but it is awesome to see, because it's highly aggressive, like submission wrestling, pretty much.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
And the first fight of the night, two guys with some of the best nicknames I've heard. Jordan native Psycho Griffin against Youssef the Moroccan Devil Zalal. Anything come to mind from watching that battle?
Well, you know what? What comes to mind immediately for me is that Zalal, I thought, had the better constitution, the better stamina, the better endurance, and also too, since he was able to start stuffing Griffin's takedowns, I think from the second round on to the third. And then, usually for a wrestler, if you stuff their takedowns, that really saps their strength. And then you really began to see it in the later rounds for Griffin. Started to fade. And Zalal capitalized on that because, anyways, he was a better stand-up striker in the first place. That's why Griffin always wanted to take it to the ground, take it to his wheelhouse. And then once he wasn't able to do that on a consistent basis anymore, Zalal had the fight.
Yeah.
That was it.
Yeah.
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 It
Good
was,
breakdown. Yeah, you're right. Yeah, fully. Well, wow, that was fantastic to break that down. That UFC card was really great. A couple fights that got knocked off the card, but there was 10 amazing fights and 10 amazing fights. And it was, to have that main event to cap it all off. It's a fight card I'm not going to forget for a really long time. And I can't wait to see both Poirier and Hooker. Hopefully they're not out with injuries too long. I saw Poirier limping out of the cage, and they both had to go to the hospital. I saw pictures of them both in the hospital. So, yeah.
You know what? When you have a battle like that, it would be wrong if you didn't end up in the hospital. You know what I mean? Like you appreciate that warrior spirit that both those men showed in that fight, in that battle. It was a thing of beauty. Yeah. It was a violent thing of beauty, but it was still a thing of beauty nonetheless.
Sure was. Yeah. No, true mixed martial arts followers and purists and people like you and me. Wow, it was, just an example of how great this can be. And just, that was, one of the best examples of, guys that are just so skilled and they just have no die attitude. And wow, that 25 minutes was 25 of the best minutes I've ever spent in my life. So, thank you so much, guys. Like, you put your life on the line for guys like us. And, I can't thank you enough.
No, it's always appreciated, man. It's always appreciated when you see people give their best.
Yeah.
It's just appreciated. And especially during this time when we're starving for something, especially when it comes to sports. And so I say bravo to both of them and thank you so much.
Yeah.
Keep it coming. Keep it coming. I need more.
Diamond Poirier became the inaugural recipient of the humanitarian award named after Forrest Griffin. They announced it on the card. He is going to be inducted into getting that award and having the induction happen on the UFC Hall of Fame induction later on in the year. Forrest Griffin sent me a message. I was able to show it to you last week a little bit. Forrest is behind this podcast and really one of the reasons why I really wanted to, get at this, his heart and determination and what he gave to the sport, and he continues to give as a humanitarian. It's so great that Poirier is such a talented fighter, but outside the cage, I couldn't believe all the things that they said he's done for his community in Louisiana there. He was paying the tab for all the guys at the local burger joint to watch his fights that night too, on top of all the humanitarian things that he's done. Pretty impressive.
The guy's he's just a special human being. He's amazing. Yeah. But the one thing from that piece that I took away is I love the fact that he says it's so easy to do the right thing. It will all come together if that's what you want to do.
Yeah.
And I love that. I love the fact that he's passionate about his community and that he's somebody that's active about it. He's not somebody that just says platitudes or, says the words, but that doesn't do the actions. It's a man of action.
Yeah.
He does what he says. Like he means what he says, he does what he says. And that's fantastic to see. It's fantastic to see. And he most certainly deserves that award.
Yeah.
For sure.
Does,
After you learn about all the things that he's done. I didn't know that. I didn't know he did all that stuff.
No.
But also too, he's not doing that to build himself up. Like he's just doing it because, as he said in his own words, it's just the right thing to do.
Yeah. Yeah, well, like I said, it's just so impressive. Please, if you have a chance, go on YouTube, type in Poirier, humanitarian award. It's a nice little video. It talks about him giving meals to kids that don't get meals normally because they couldn't go to school during the pandemic. Just so many things. It was just on and on and on. It was blew me away, and it was really great. And for it to be the Forrest Griffin Award, this is one of the best human beings I've ever had an opportunity to be around. And he sent me a message of support recently. I can't thank you enough, Forrest. And there's no better guy to have an award for humanitarian given than to you. And I can't wait to congratulate you face to face and say, thanks for everything you've done for me and so many other people, and you too, Dustin. Holy cow! Keep it up. You show why this is the greatest sport in the world, and these are some of the best people that you're ever going to meet. If you meet fighters, you're going to love them, and they're solid to the earth people. So, it was so great to see him get that award.
Oh yeah, man! Like he's just like he's humble, but he's a champion and he's a winner. You know what I mean? Yeah. You have that combination of that in one person. Well, then this is what you see. This is what a man of that caliber can do. Yeah. And we're just lucky to have him around. Exactly. We're all very fortunate to have a man like that around.
Yeah. Yeah, thanks, then. Thanks for breaking that card down. We won't be breaking down a UFC when we talk next week, but we'll be 2 weeks from now. We've got UFC 251 with the 3 title fights on. I wish it was tomorrow. I can't wait for that card. This past card made my whole weekend, and so that card, I can't even imagine what it's going to do. What are your thoughts? 3 title fights, and we don't get that very often as fight fans.
Well, I am very much looking forward to it because I'm fascinated by the by the matchups. I'm fascinated by. First off, I'm going to go with the Volkanovski-Holloway fight. Can Holloway change up his game style enough to overcome Volkanovski, or is Volkanovski going to put more wrinkles into his game that Holloway's never going to see coming? I'm very fascinated to see what's going to happen in that fight, in that rematch coming up. The Peter Yan Aldo fight. I think, Aldo is Aldo, and Peter Yan's the up-and-comer. I think he's only lost 1 fight. It's going to be a great war. It's going to be a fantastic war because I think a lot of people like to write Aldo off. I'm not writing that guy off. He's still really, really good. He's still really, really good. So We'll see what happens there. And then the one that I'm very curious to see how it does play out is Kamaru Usman and Gilbert Burns. I think Usman will probably try to dictate the fight with his wrestling, but I don't know if Burns is going to allow him to do that with his movement. We'll see. We'll see how that plays out too. 3 great title fights. I can't wait to see it. I wish it was on next weekend, but I guess they need some time off. I get it.
Yeah. I get it. Well, they got to take the cage halfway around the world to fight Island Abu Dhabi, so I guess they need a little bit of prep time.
Yeah, I guess so.
Did you hear? Fine. Yeah. Did you hear that the main card starts at 6 a.m. Abu Dhabi time?
Wait, what? No, I did not hear that. Are you serious?
They want it to be prime time here, and I think something like 10 hours difference. So they're putting it at 6 a.m. Abu Dhabi time. That'll be Paige Van Zandt having her first pay-per-view fight. And that's when the card starts there. That's what I've heard. I haven't got super confirmation 100%, but I heard it's 6 a.m. So that's pretty bizarre.
That is going to be super weird for the fighters.
Yeah.
Like just getting up so early in the morning, be like, all right, let's get in that ring and let's go get some fighting in. That's going to be very different. That's going to be in itself something for the fighters to overcome, because I don't think they've ever done that. I don't think anybody's ever done that before. So if it works, it works. At least, I guess, at least in this situation that we're in, they don't have any distractions to take away from the fighters, at least audience-wise and stuff like that. They can be in the ring and just focus on the fight, like I've said before. But wow, 6 in the morning, though. I'm still a little bit shocked at that. But okay, let's see if it works.
Yeah. Well, maybe it'll help with jet lag. A lot of fighters, when they have to travel that far, they get the jet lag problems. Maybe they can try to stay on Pacific or Eastern time, wherever they're coming from, the U.S. here. Hopefully, it doesn't affect them. Not only the jet lag, but also trying to, get up at that early in the morning. They're gonna, the corners are gonna be there. Mike Perry, do not go to Abu Dhabi, because you don't have corners to be able to help you through this. So, yeah,
that's definitely something that the cornermen and the corner people will have to figure out with the time change adjustment, and then knowing whenever they actually do get official time for when the start time of that UFC is, then they'll have to have their fighters properly prepared for that eventuality, if that's what does happen.
Yeah, so we've got a week off from the UFC, but maybe we need a little break. There are obviously some other sports that you and I like breaking down, and we've got two different scenarios these days: NFL, NBA. I kind of want to just start with the NFL and the huge signing. I mentioned, I think it was a week ago, maybe 2, where Cam Newton was working out with OBJ, and he had some tape that he was sending out to the teams, and I guess it impressed Belichick enough to sign him, and now he's a New England Patriot, replacing Tom Brady. That was a kind of a shock to me. I had heard rumors, but I didn't know Belichick would want to do that. So what do you think?
Well, I think Belichick is shrewd. He's a shrewd businessman. He really is. And he will take a deal when he sees it. And Cam Newton right now is a deal. And I don't believe he has to pay him that much to even come in, because he didn't garner that much attention from around the league. So I think he's using that, and he's going to push him in camp, because if he wants the starting role, then he's going to have to prove that he's the starter, right? Belichick's just not going to give it to him. No. He's going to have to earn it.
Yeah.
And so I think it's a good gamble on his part. It's a smart gamble on Belichick's part to bring the guy in, because it's like, for him, it's like no harm, no foul. You did lose Brady, so.
Super impressive. Like, why not? Like, Cam Newton, obviously, he's struggled with some shoulder surgery. He had an ankle problem last year, only played in a couple games. Not up to the form he was when he won the MVP and took the team to the Super Bowl against the Broncos. He was phenomenal in 2015. He still holds records. He's the only guy I think he's got 39 games where he scored a rushing touchdown and threw a passing touchdown. He's a mobile guy. I don't know with these injuries if it's limited mobility, but what the Patriots had, rookie guy, a guy that had thrown a few balls last year, nothing much. This is a brilliant move by the Patriots and Belichick. And, I don't know it could work long-term with them. They're different personalities, but, I think it's a smart move in the meantime until you can get something better. I think a lot of GMs and owners are going to be mad. Why didn't we do this? It's been a smart move for a lot of teams.
It could have been a smart move for a lot of teams, but I think my hope is that from all the various injuries that unfortunately Cam has suffered throughout the last couple of years, that he hopefully comes into this training camp just healthy.
Yeah.
Like healthy. Like he's finally over all these various injuries that he's had. And so, and if he actually is healthy going into the season, you might see a very different Cam Newton than what we've seen over the past previous years, because he's had to overcome a ton of injuries.
Yeah.
So
obviously quarterback's a tough position. You're getting injuries, guys are getting hurt. They got these monster linemen and linebackers trying to get him, every play, and a guy's gonna face some injuries. But we've seen some guys face some really terrific injuries and come back and play phenomenal. It's tougher. He's 31, still in prime years for a quarterback. I think if he can shake off the injuries and some of the rust, he hasn't looked spectacular last couple seasons, but if he can get back to close to that MVP form, the Patriots, they're not going away. I know you were like happy that Brady left, and all of a sudden, hey, we don't have to deal with the Patriots anymore. But maybe we still do. Maybe they're gonna, be able to win their division and get a really prime playoff position again, and we won't see the Patriots go away for a while.
Well, that makes me sad with what you just said, because like I'm like kind of done with them. I'm done with the whole team and everything else. But I'm sorry, man. I'm still happy about it. Like, because it's not Brady and Belichick anymore. Belichick said, "I've had enough," and Brady's like, "Well, I just want to go where it's like nice." So
Yep.
I'll see you later.
Yeah.
But like the Patriots have tortured me for years, and so I'll say this: if Cam Newton's actually open to being coached by Belichick, I think he can get nothing but positives out of that. Nothing but positives. And if he gets onto that Patriot system, maybe the man does resurrect his career.
Yeah.
It depends. It depends on where he's at mentally and physically.
Yeah.
So
when Cam Newton walked out of that press conference after the Super Bowl win, it really made a lot of people question his heart and his mental toughness. And I don't know, he just definitely has fallen off the last few seasons. And, we've talked a lot about Kaepernick having the same kind of thing where he takes the team to the Super Bowl and then a few years later he's out of the league. And, Cam Newton was close to being out of the league. Nobody had stepped up for months and months and months, a long, long time. And, the Patriots did it, and wow, I'm impressed. Belichick's a smart guy, one of the, probably the greatest coach to ever, be in the NFL, and another shrewd general manager move too. Wow, holy cow! They did it on the day that the NFL handed down the punishment for their little bit of misgivings in Cleveland, and that was kind of funny timing. $1.1 million fine. They lost a third-round draft pick, and they can't have that film crew out anymore. That was kind of good timing on their part.
Well, you know what they say: if you're not cheating, you're not trying. And the Patriots are really good at cheating. They're really good at it. But I don't know, man. Like, hey, they're an organization utterly committed to winning at all times. And unfortunately, kind of by any means necessary, whether they be nefarious or not. So, I can't begrudge them that. And the league did smack him with a good penalty. That was a good amount of money, 1.1 million. Maybe not for the billionaire owner. Maybe he's just like, well, let me go into my sock drawer and get that money for you. But whatever, man. Like, it was needed because. Like Roger Goodell needs to set the bar for these owners of, there's certain things you can do and you can't do, and you clearly cannot do that.
Yeah.
And so hopefully going forward, the Patriots do a little bit less of that. I doubt it. I really do.
Yeah.
But, whatever. They're going to do what they're going to do.
They didn't learn their lesson over the last couple incidents, Deflategate being one of the most highly publicized crazy things that went on and on and on, and Brady eventually getting suspended and a lot of that, and they didn't learn from incidents before. So I doubt they're going to change their ways, but it was a pretty smart move, just signing Cam and trying to sweep that under the rug and, hey, let's move on. We want to talk about the football, and that's what I'd rather do too. Who cares? If you're not, there's cheating and there's cheating, and I didn't think it was that big of a deal, but whatever. Here we go.
exactly.
Yeah, go.
Exactly.
Yeah, exactly.
Especially with what's going on in this at this time right now.
Yeah.
It's definitely not a big deal. You know,
Right.
it's just something that you pass off in sports news. And oh yeah, by the way, this happened. Patriots got fined again. Not a big deal. Anyways, moving on.
Yeah. I definitely want to touch on the NBA, but why don't we just touch on the NHL so we don't miss it at the end? Jerome McGinley getting the nomination for the Hall of Fame. You were wearing his jersey 2 weeks ago during one of these calls. Obviously, one of your guys from the NHL. What a honor and fantastic. Really great to see. What a human being, and what an amazing hockey player.
The man just represents himself well and the league even better. You know, like he deserved that nomination. He's one of the best hockey players I've ever seen. He was involved in one of the best moments in hockey that I've ever seen, where he went into that corner, he dug the puck out, and then he said, "Here, Crosby, here's all the glory. I did the work. I just want you to know that I did all the hard work." But there you go, man. There you go. You know, like it was the guy. I've always loved his enthusiasm for the game. I've loved his love for it, and I love the way that he goes out and he battles. He goes to war when he plays hockey, and it's always just been an utter pleasure watching him play the game. I just wish he'd gotten out of Calgary sooner, but whatever.
Yeah. I couldn't believe all the teams that he eventually did play, but he was on the tail end of his career there. But Calgary was able to keep him for so long, and I was shocked by that. I was absolutely blown away that they continued to keep him. And he was such a one of the best players in the league year after year after year, and they were able to convince him to stay. And he I'm never going to think of him any other place other than Team Canada that you mentioned and Calgary, right? Yeah. And Sidney Crosby doesn't score that golden goal, and Canada winning the Olympics in Vancouver 2010 if Jerome doesn't do that hard work and dig that puck out of the corner, and Crosby's yelling Iggy, and he saw him and passed it, boom, it was in the net, and that was it. One of the best celebrations I've ever been a part of, and this whole entire nation celebrated that huge win. And again, like you say, he doesn't actually get the credit that he deserves for that. That was, that was him that put it right there. And all Crosby had to do was just shoot. So,
but that was the beauty of Iggy's game. Like, he didn't need the credit. He just had to put in the work, which he always did. Yeah. He always did that. He was that kind of player. And so, and he was a team guy too. Always team first. Like, whatever I can do for the team, I'm going to do. And it showed in his play style. Yeah. And also, too, don't get on that man's bad side. You're going to catch a beating for that. He's one of the toughest players that you'll ever play against, too.
Totally, so. Yeah, he was kind of Calgary's Messier, and, the guy that just, brought the grit, brought the passion, brought the enthusiasm, never stay die. And, wow, I can't believe how many years he had success in Calgary. And if you have chances, please watch a lot of the Team Canada, games and watch, his tireless work. He had many amazing teammates, and he just made them so much better. And, Canada doesn't have the success, I don't think, without a hard worker like that, and a guy that can take a puck out of the corner with his, ferocity and his strength. And, he was always so strong on the puck, almost impossible to take off the puck, and, hands, silky hands and everything. He had it all.
Yeah, he did. He did have it all, and it's a pleasure to see the man finally be inducted into the Hall of Fame, as he rightfully deserves.
Yeah, I can't wait for that induction. I don't think it's taking place this year. They usually have about 1,500 people in that hall, and it's a huge celebration over the week. They have a luncheon. They get to go to the Leafs game. They, the families are brought in. There's all the Hall of Famers over the past. It's a fantastic celebration. I've been there many times. They're not going to do it this year, I don't think, live. So I think they're going to induct them all officially next year. We just heard today that Tony Gallagher, a local Vancouver writer, legend around here for writing, he just got inducted to the Hall of Fame too, and that was pretty fantastic. I've read so many Tony Gallagher articles and columns, and stuff over the years. He was, you know, a beat writer for him for, I think, 15 years, and then, you know, column after column after column. So congratulations, Tony, and really nice to see a Vancouver guy get his due finally. Long overdue, and yeah, I can't wait to see you in the Hall of Fame. It's coming soon. That's fantastic.
Yeah, no, that's great to see. Like, yeah, the man's been a cornerstone of Vancouver sports for such a long time, and it is great to see his due because he's put in great work, great columns. Some I've agreed with, some I have, but at the end of the day, he was always true to himself, and that's all you can ever ask from any reporter. So that was it's a great honor, obviously, for him, and it's just great to see him get in.
I was always shocked at how, you know, he would just, you know, hold the Canucks to task. I couldn't believe the, you know, ferocity of his statements against the management team when he didn't agree with some of the things they were doing. I think a lot of those years that he was a beat writer for them, they were, you know, below 500. They weren't making the playoffs. They did need some criticism. You know, it's hard as a reporter to go in there and criticize the people that you're covering because, you know, you think maybe they won't let you in the door tomorrow, but he, you know, called it like it was, like he saw it. He held guys to task. He was on the player side way more than the owner side or the management side of things. But yeah, I just, you know, always grabbed the province, turned it to the back, looked for his column, read it, and soaked it in. And, you know, he was a really, really, really talented writer. And he was a contributor to Vancouver radio. Team 1040 always had him on, breaking down the Canucks and the things that were, you know, in the past and coming up. And, you know, yeah, what a legend. He was an absolute legend around here. So really happy to see, you know, two legends get their due in the Hall of Fame. There's no bigger honor in sports media than to be nominated to the Hall of Fame. So, you know, congratulations to them.
Well, it's just an appreciation of their body of work. Both were a little bit different, obviously, one being a player and one being a reporter, but they still had that much of an impact on the game, and that's why they're inducted into the Hall of Fame.
Yeah. Okay, well, let's shift to the NBA, and there's a few more players have opted out now. Yeah, we've got some word. I got a little backstory on all of them. A few guys have decided out. Last time we talked, Trevor Ariza and Davis Bertans had said no. Avery Bradley, there was wide speculation that he was part of that players coalition and he wasn't going to go. He's decided, he wants to be with his family. He has 3 kids and he just doesn't want to have the possibility of bringing COVID to them. He wants to have that platform. He wants to be able to be out in public and, you know, further Black Lives Matter and a lot of that cause. So congratulations to him. You know, great. Good for you. I'm glad you decided that it would be too distracting. He's the only player from a contending team to opt out so far. Lakers, obviously, favorites to win the whole thing. I heard they just signed J.R. Smith to take Bradley's spot, though. And so LeBron's reunited with J.R. Smith. He might remind him of a timeout that he should have taken and possibly lost them a huge game before, but they're reunited, and J.R. Smith taking Bradley's spot. A smart move for the Lakers.
No, I think it's a great move for the Lakers. And also, too, like, obviously J.R. Smith is in a different spot in his career right now. So luckily for him, he's not going to be out there during that time anymore. So, you know, so he's going to be all right. But I think, you know, like, as long as J.R. Smith can spread the floor, shoot the 3, which is probably all they're going to ask him to do. You know, if he can do all of that, man, it's a great pickup on their part. Great pickup. Yeah. Yes, they lose the defensive savvy of an Avery Bradley, but if that's the only thing that they lose, and they're still, you know, they're still the Lakers, still got LeBron, still got AD, then they're looking good still to me. Sure. Of course, they still got to get past that monster called the Clippers, but we'll see when we cross that road.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So I mentioned Ariza, Bradley, Bertans. The other guys that have opted out are Willie Cauley-Stein. He said he's expecting a baby in July, wants to be there with his wife and doesn't want to miss it. He's with the Mavs, and Mavs, who knows where they're going to go. You know, they got talent, but We'll see. Wilson Chandler with the Nets, he opted out. He's also got 3 kids, and he wants to spend time with them and his grandma who raised him. With no Kyrie, no KD, Nets aren't really going to go anywhere. So no big worry there. So far, those are the guys that have opted out. It's not that big a surprise that, guys want to, continue being with their family after this pandemic and having so much time with them. A lot of them knew they were going to have this time off because the NBA season would be already over. It ends mid-June. So they've already had that schedule ahead, probably a lot of things planned. And, these half dozen guys are deciding, I'm staying close to my family. So, good on them. I don't mind that at all. Do you want to comment on that at all?
Well, like at this point in time, you can't begrudge any player for whatever reason that they don't want to play. Like if they don't want to play, then that's fine. Because again, this is uncharted territory for everybody on the planet, everybody on the globe. And I just love the fact that Adam Silver has been a fantastic leader throughout all the commissioners throughout this period of time. And I love the fact that he's just so open to anything and everything that the players want to do. I love the fact that he has open dialogue with them and they feel comfortable saying, well, you know what, I'm not into it. And then they're just like, all right, there's no penalty, there's no fine. Yeah. Yes, you're going to get a reduction in pay, but that's it. Yeah. That's it.
It's great.
I applaud him for doing that for the players. I really do.
Yeah, his leadership has been just phenomenal. And, they definitely have a partnership there. Unlike baseball, NBA has really had a partnership. NFL hasn't had a partnership. NBA is really, really tight. The owners and the players really seem to be on the same page. And, Adam Silver is doing a bang-up job. I'm really impressed. The other thing that just came out was that he's allowing the players, it sounds like, I think it's not official, but Chris Paul was announcing, who's the president of the Players Association, Chris Paul announced that they were going to allow them to put messages on their back instead of their names. It was like Black Lives Matter, I can't breathe, maybe he hate me. I don't know, a lot of things on their back. That's going to be neat. That's going to be something unique.
Well, then again, as we were talking about before, it's the platform that the players are managing to use in a smart way and working with the NBA and the commissioner Adam, just to figure out what can be said or what can be done. And this is the creative stuff, the creative genius that can come from that. And I think that's fantastic. It's great. It's great to continue to further the movement because we have momentum now. Yeah. And it's a momentum that I hope will never be stopped now. It's just going to be like a freight train, and it's just going to keep chugging on down the tracks. It's awesome to see. It's awesome.
So awesome. Yeah. No, I'm thrilled beyond belief. Just thrilled. It's so great to see a league that gets it right, continually gets it right, and the only worry I guess a lot of people are having is this coronavirus has really hit Florida like crazy. They're having massive amounts of cases. They're going into a bubble like the UFC is. They're going into Disney World and they're going to be in a self-contained bubble. So I don't know if that's going to help. There was 16 positive cases of COVID when they tested 302 players this past week. So that's a small percentage. It is 16 though, because they shut down the whole sport over one positive result when Rudy Gobert got it. So how do you think they're going to handle the 16 cases? Do you think it's concerning them enough? And being in Florida, which is a hotbed for the virus?
Well, I think definitely the Florida thing and the hotbed stuff is very much a concern because what's the governor doing? What are you doing? What are you doing, man? What are you doing? Within 2 days, they literally had 20,000 cases. 20,000 cases. What? So anyways, I blame leadership when it comes to the U.S. You have Trump. Okay, enough said. And then it just kind of trickles down from there. Yeah. All right? So that is a concern. But as long as they have that buffer zone within their bubble even, of we're going to keep you infected Florida people out there, and we're going to be in here. I think you know what? It's the best you can do at this point in time. Yeah, some of the players were obviously going to have this. Like, even they might be asymptomatic and maybe they didn't even know that they actually had COVID in the first place, right? So going forward, they're just going to have to manage that. And then once these players are over their COVID or whatever and they get tested, and then once they're tested, obviously stringently, I think clearly they can go back to their team and then help their team go forward. But again, I believe they're just going to have these measures in place to keep the players protected and safe and continue to keep monitoring them at all times, every day, and all that sort of stuff.
Yeah.
You know, like, because even though it's a bubble, you're just going to, all you can do is your best to try to keep everybody safe and protected and healthy. That's all you can do. It's not a guarantee, but you just do your best on what you can do.
Yeah, I'm sure hoping that it doesn't derail the season. I'm getting more and more excited as time goes on. That's a league that I can't stop my excitement level from rising. It's going to be an unprecedented last 8 games of the regular season and then into the playoffs. There's opportunities for many teams, and we've discussed it, you and I, a few weeks in a row, and that's something that I really worry that all these positive cases can derail this season. And Rudy Gobert saying that he's still not fully recovered, that's another that was another shock, another concern. He said he's still feeling symptoms and things that aren't going away, so that was a shock.
Well, yeah, and also too, I think now Rudy's taking it serious, I guess, now, it's a real thing. I feel sorry for the man that he hasn't actually gotten over symptoms, and I wish him a speedier recovery. But you know what? For anybody involved, it's lesson learned.
Yeah.
It's lesson learned.
Right.
This is a real thing, and you really got to take it seriously. And it doesn't matter in what physical fitness level that you're at, because obviously he's in the upper echelon, and look at where he's at right now.
Yeah.
It's still a very serious thing, and I applaud all the professional leagues for the measures that they are taking to ensure the safety of their players and the staff and the members of the NFL, the NBA, well, maybe not Major League, but you know what I mean? All of them. Of them. I applaud them. And I think the NBA has probably been doing it the best so far since they're the first up. So.
Yeah, true. Yeah, exactly. So, lots of interesting things ahead. We're sure hoping that the NBA has a season, NFL has a season unscathed and be able to keep going. UFC's been doing a great job paving the way, being able to show them how they can do it. And there have been cases with some of the fighters, some of the corner people, but they've been able to continue to forge along and have these great events that we broke down today. And Jason, anything else that you want to add in that we haven't talked about? It's been a fantastic hour. It's flown by for me.
Yes, it sure has. It's flown by for me too. And yes, there is one more thing I did want to point to. I don't know if you've heard about this, but I'm very impressed with all these young men from the NHL that have got together to create the Hockey Diversity Alliance.
Nice.
And the Hockey Diversity Alliance is basically to go forward with the Black Lives Matter movement, but also just to incorporate talks with the NHL players and their stories of how they've come up, how they've had to face racism and everything else. And I love the fact that the discussion is happening. I love the fact that they are gathering together to try to bring the NHL into this discussion as well, because the NHL, when it comes to ethnic minorities, it's a very small number compared to the rest, right? Yeah. And then also too, just to show that, yeah, man, this is a real thing in our sport and it really needs to be addressed. And so I commend these young men for the courage to do this, to talk about their experiences. And the fact that they've gotten this ball rolling is just, it is fantastic to see. It is awesome. It's awesome. It's awesome. Because like even just briefly hearing some of the stuff off YouTube about what they were talking about and stuff, that's stuff that I can clearly, that's happened to me in my life. And I like the fact that they're sharing that with others, sharing their stories with others, and they're inviting everybody into this conversation too. And
nice.
And with their what they want to do, one of their main goals too, is to facilitate real change at the grassroots level, so that, you know, people that look like myself, look like them, look like Nazim Kadra or whatever, that they feel like they're not alone in their struggle. They have help. They have somewhere to turn to. And also to affect the change that needs to happen at that level, so they don't actually have to face the ridiculousness as a child of all the racist nonsense that you can face as a child.
Wow. Wow, that's so amazing. I'm so happy that you added that in. And yeah, I know that Evander Kane has been using his platform heavily, and Alu, like you mentioned, they have been really making people realize the things that they had to face in their lives. And you know, obviously, NHL is a predominantly white sport, and you know, some of the things that they had to endure and face as they came up the ranks. Luckily, you know, once they've been in the NHL, I think, you know, they've been treated well, and you know, they have not had to face that. But in their younger lives, you know, and I'm sure it's derailed a lot of careers of guys that had the potential, but they just didn't want to face all that. And I'm so happy that you brought it up. It's been really impressive, the things that I've seen them already doing, and I'm glad the NHL is working closely with them, that, you know, they're going to further their movement.
Yeah, for sure, man. Like I'm just, again, very impressed with the fact that the leagues are working with the players to make sure that the movement continues to go forward, that real change does actually happen. This is just not pretty words said on paper or said in the air and stuff like that. Like there's real policy change that's happening. Yeah. And it's fantastic. It's great to see. It's uplifting to see.
I'm going to just list off the 7 guys that I see listed on the Alliance, and please support these guys anytime. You know, follow them on your social media platforms, and anytime they're making statements, listen in and let's support them a lot. Evander Kane, Akeem Alou, Trevor Daley, Matt Dumba, Wayne Simmons, Chris Stewart, and Joel Ward. Way to go, guys! Way to get up on your platform and you know, make a difference. I'd love to see a lot more diversity. I had an opportunity to meet Willie O'Ree, the very first guy that ever made the NHL as a black man, as an African American guy, and he couldn't have been a nicer guy. I was just blown away. I'm so happy he's made the Hall of Fame, and you know, he's still around, has opportunities to you know, talk about his experience. And a lot of these guys, you know, it's so great that they've all banded together and with the NHL's blessing, and they're going to further the Black Lives Matter and all the platforms that they want to further. So yeah, thanks for mentioning that, Jason. I really, really, really appreciate it.
Hey, no problem, man. I just thought that there's something else I'd just like to add in at the end. So
you and I briefly spoke off the air last week, and I talked about you know, that being so huge in the world right now, and I asked you you know, about the things that you possibly faced in your life, and I would love to do a show dedicated to that, and find out a little bit more you know, about you, about your life story, and you know, the things that you have encountered here in Canada compared to, you know, a lot of what we see on a daily basis from the US. Yeah, will you do that with me very soon? Can we put something like that together?
Yeah, you bet. You bet. I got no problem sharing my experiences with the viewership out there. Mine is a little bit more unique than anybody else's you probably ever heard, but it's my journey, and I welcome the opportunity to share it with everybody.
Great. Thank you so much, buddy. Yeah, appreciate that. You're one of the gems out there, one of my favorite human beings. Always a pleasure to have an opportunity to talk with you. Usually we just get on the phone and talk sports for an hour and a half, and now we're getting a platform to be able to bring it out to people, and I welcome an opportunity for people to get to know you more, and love you like I do, buddy. Thanks so much for your time, and always a pleasure. I can't wait to see you next week. I'm sure we'll be in contact before it, but yeah, thanks for your time today, and go enjoy that river behind you.
Yeah, I love and appreciate you too, my friend. You know, like I was just thinking about this the other day. We're just a younger better looking version of Kornheiser and Wilbon. And I love the fact that we're doing this. And I'm just so overjoyed that you brought me on board. So thank you so much, my friend. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Jason. Thanks for the nice, kind words. Appreciate it. Yeah, we are the little more handsome version of Wilbon and Kornheiser. Pardon the interruption. Look out, here we come. Wow, that was a fantastic episode, Jason. The best we've done yet. Amazing insight. Thank you so much. You're great with everything you do. I can't believe all the compliments and accolades I've heard about you. I'll pass them along. I will let you know how many people keep saying, wow, thanks so much for getting Jason on. And it's been a pleasure to listen to him and watch him. So you're doing a great job, buddy.
Oh, hey, man, thank you. And hey, I got a great person to work with. So I'm very lucky, very fortunate.
You're too kind, buddy. Okay, cheers. Take care. Bye for now. We'll talk soon.
All right. See you later. Bye-bye. Bye.
All right. Wow. Yeah. Holy cow. Yeah, by far my favorite hour and a few minutes there. Yeah, holy, that was great. What a breakdown of the UFC. Really nice to be able to talk NFL, NBA, a little bit of hockey with the Hall of Fame induction, and to finish it off with this NHL Diversity Alliance. I'm going to get him together so that we have an opportunity to find out his story. You'll be amazed at his journey and his story, and be nice to get to know him further, have the viewers. I've known him for many, many, many years, and I've never had a bad moment with him. We've had laughs, we've had great conversation. We've always just enjoyed each other's company, and one of my favorite people, and I think he will be as time goes on. If you don't know him, get to know him, watch more of these, subscribe to the channels. Find me on your podcast platforms. Find Complete Sports Media, and we're breaking down all the time. Breaking down. Great events, great fights, great sports. UFC has been fantastic. Go watch that Poirier-Hooker fight. Don't miss it. Go watch that, and watch the information about Poirier as a human being winning the humanitarian award dedicated to Forrest Griffin, the inaugural recipient. Really cool. The Diversity Alliance, they're doing really great things. And Avery Bradley, get on his platform, watch him. He's going to further this Black Lives Matter and police brutality and all, racial inequality and all the things that have come up since George Floyd. So yeah, let's further the causes and keep enjoying sports. Tune in all the time. I'm going to have content coming at you fast and furious this week, and on and on and on. So thanks a lot for your time. Thanks for tuning in, and we'll see you next time. But love you. Bye for now. Take care.